People of the world, hello and welcome. It's Marketing as a Foreign Language. My name is Kellen Kausman, and today Zuckerberg says Facebook will review its policies around state use of force and voter suppression. Facebook also publishing a new update on account removals due to organized manipulation efforts. And yeah, you guessed it, Facebook again in the news, beginning to roll out new labels to signify state-controlled media outlets, how to hashtag on the TikTok machine, and if you are doing Google Ads, how to protect your business from invalid activity and advertising fraud. Here we go. Zuckerberg says Facebook will review its policies around state use of force and voter suppression despite, and this of course is from Andrew Hutchinson, our favorite over at Social Media Today, despite rising criticism over Facebook's inaction over recent comments from U.S. President Donald Trump, despite Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg recently stating that he believes the company's policy direction is well thought out and on the right track in light of the ongoing Black Lives Matter protests and internal unrest over its approach. Zuckerberg has today announced that Facebook will review its policies as part of a broader effort to improve and address concerns around racial inequality. In a long post on his Facebook profile, Zuckerberg shared a memo which he'd initially posted to Facebook employees, which outlined his thoughts on the evolving situation and the criticism of Facebook specifically. He writes, "I believe our platforms can play a positive role in helping to heal the divisions in our society, and I'm committed to making sure our work pulls in this direction. And while we will continue to stand for giving everyone a voice and erring on the side of free expression in these difficult decisions, even when it's speech we strongly and viscerally disagree with, I'm committed to making sure we also fight for voter engagement and racial justice too." Oh my goodness gracious. Here's the thing about being a billionaire, right? You're brilliant, you go to college, you become world famous billionaire, and things are great for a while. And that amount of power and responsibility that you bear grows and grows and grows, becomes a global phenomenon. And then all of a sudden, you are tasked with this impossible problem. Impossible problem. You are the arbiter of free speech in the United States of America. You decide who gets a voice and who doesn't, and you do it with machine learning. Okay. So you made a billion or two or whatever his net worth is. That's a problem. The main concerns relate to these two posts from President Trump, which he also posted to his Twitter profile. I will try to read this. Donald Trump, May 29th, writes, "I can't stand back and watch this happen to a great American city, Minneapolis. A total lack of leadership. Either the very weak radical left Mayor Jacob Frey get his act together and bring the city under control." And then he goes right in. That's Donald Trump for you. Wow. As I've said before on previous episodes, this is like a brawl. This is a brawl. Twitter has taken action on both, which prompted Trump to call for an investigation into the laws which allow social platforms to interfere with his messaging. Facebook thus far has not taken action on either, but Zuckerberg says that it may change its approach in the future. He writes, quote, "Based on feedback from employees, civil rights experts, and subject matter experts internally, we're exploring the three areas: ideas related to specific policies, ideas related to decision making." Okay, blah, blah, blah. So how is this going to resolve? Hoofta. I'm thinking we're going to start blaming the algorithms. I think that'll be the scapegoat for humanity moving forward. We're going to program algorithms that are going to give like percentage scores to posts, and then we'll just say, well, no, it's the algorithm. It's not, it's not a Republican Democrat thing. It's an algorithm thing. It's just the algorithm. But who controls that algorithm? That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be incredibly powerful. Facebook publishes new update on account removals due to organized manipulation efforts. Facebook has this week published its coordinated inauthentic behavior report. What? for May, which outlines all of the accounts, pages, and groups that the platform has removed over the course of the month due to identified efforts to mislead and misinform Facebook users for varying purposes. As explained by Facebook, quote, "We're constantly working to find and stop coordinated campaigns that seek to manipulate public debate across our apps." Man, Russia involvement last time, that sowed the seeds of this. We are going to see more Facebook, more Zuckerberg in front of Congress. He writes, "We view the influence operations as coordinated efforts to manipulate public debate." It's almost like Facebook finds themselves in a policing job. They are information police. It is their job to identify and draw the line in regards to free speech. And as they are not a government agency, how is this going to play out? They are removing groups. And there are many groups, I'm sure, that are well deserving of that removal and some that are not. And do you have a perfect record in monitoring free speech? This is not an enviable job. The groups removed in May included networks originating from Tunisia and Iraq, with the Tunisian-based group working to influence users in sub-Saharan Africa, while the Iraq-based network was focused on influencing domestic politics and appears to have been funded by the Kurdistan regional government. So they're starting internationally, clearly. Facebook's efforts on this front will become more important as the 2020 U.S. presidential election campaign starts to gain momentum. These runs, I don't know if that's the right word to use to describe them, but Tunisia, etc., Kurdistan, it feels as though they're practicing, for lack of a better word, to try to understand this situation prior to the November election in the United States. Facebook has implemented a range of detection and awareness tools since then, and those efforts, based on the monthly CIB reports, which Facebook has been providing since February, do seem to be having an impact. That would be CIB, Coordinated Inauthentic Behavior Removal. Man. Whoo. And last but not least, with Facebook, they are rolling out new labels to signify state-controlled media outlets amid the ongoing discussion around how Facebook should approach commentary from political leaders. The social network is looking to roll out yet another transparency measure, adding new explanatory notes on pages, posts, and ads which have been published by state-controlled media outlets. Interesting. So, late breaking news now is a Russia state-controlled media outlet, apparently. And now you can see that. Wow. If you look on the page right here where it says late breaking news now, immediately underneath it says Russia state-controlled media. If that doesn't change your perspective, that to me is very, very interesting. If I am able to see that a news source, or if someone I know, my cousin's cousin, sees that there's a Russian state-controlled media outlet providing XYZ content, then obviously it is going to change the way you perceive it. Wow. Okay. Here we go. TikTok shares case study on how to implement a branded hashtag campaign out of politics and into the world of business. Are you looking to add TikTok into your digital marketing mix? Maybe, maybe not. We've talked about this. I mean, there are rare instances where the demographic for TikTok is going to make sense for you. If you're Nike, duh. If you're a local plumber, absolutely not. But we're going to look at a specific case study to see if it rings any bells. The case study looks at Zalora, here you go, a fashion e-commerce platform in Asia. Yeah, okay, you're selling shoes, like I just said. Nike, fashion, great. TikTok, it works for you. Quote, set to the tune of the campaign's custom branded music. If you're a small business, just get that custom branded music going. You'll be fine. Hashtag Z-Style Now Challenge. Everything's a challenge. My daughter is constantly asking me to do challenges. She says, Daddy, let's do a kids boss parents around challenge, kids decide challenge. I don't know what it is, but she's all about these challenges. Invited participants to flash a Z hand signal, which would trigger the guise of an instant outfit change. Okay. Plus, it was an opportunity for users to show off their wardrobe and inner fashionista to their world. I get it. So again, TikTok, music, fashion, style, it's a no-brainer. It does not make much sense for anyone else, but these things do evolve. What is TikTok today? Maybe Facebook tomorrow. And click fraud. Google, from them directly. We protect you from invalid activity and advertising fraud. We work hard to get you real results from advertising. Advertisers, agencies, and publishers, including app developers and YouTube creators, all rely on advertising to help them reach new customers, grow their businesses, and earn a living. With so much at stake, it's important that the system works right. And that's why we've developed powerful processes and invested in technology and an entire team of experts to protect our customers and remove invalid activity and advertising fraud. So what I need to look up right now is how much of Google's revenue comes from ads, because I just want it to be clear why Google spends, there you go, 70.89%, total of $160 billion in 2019 for Google. So yeah, when they say that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that the clicks that you spend on Google Ads are actual legitimate clicks, yeah, kind of believe them. It doesn't mean that what they're doing is perfect. It just means that they have a $160 billion incentive. In a nutshell, an invalid activity, according to Google.com, is any interaction that doesn't come from real people with real interest in an ad. Some invalid traffic is accidental, like when a badly placed ad gets in the way of something the user is trying to click on. Some is deliberate, like botnets and other advertisers who click on ads to waste their competitors' budgets. I don't know how you would stop me from clicking on some other internet marketing company's ad and it not counting. I don't get it. Explain that to me. Am I missing something incredibly obvious? Is it that my profile is somehow connected and it's known that I own an internet marketing company, and therefore if I click on another internet marketing company, I don't spend that money? I don't know. That seems almost impossible to do. So let's dive into this. Invalid traffic is any activity, okay, blah, blah, blah. Our ad traffic quality team is dedicated to stopping all types of invalid traffic so that advertisers don't have to pay for it, and the people who cause it don't profit from it. We also work closely with all these people, okay? But how? I mean, how? Anyone? You're a plumber, and you've got an evil streak, and so every day, well, not every day, you go to a terminal, like one of these public terminals, and you hop on and you click on a bunch of people's ads. Someone hands you their phone, you go quick and click on the competitor's ad. From your own desktop, from your laptop, from various places. You go to a hotel room, there's a computer, you click on someone else's ad. I don't know how Google stops that. I mean, maybe you could make the argument that, like, if you're in Indiana and the Nevada-based plumber, is obviously in a different state, then maybe. But look, I think there's fraud. I just do. I don't know how you prevent all fraud. How does Google stop invalid activity? Okay, let's hear it. We use live reviewers. Don't know what that means. Automatic filters, machine learning, and deep research to block as much invalid and fraudulent activity as possible. Okay. It's a global team, in case you were wondering, of over 100 PhDs, data scientists, engineers, and researchers constantly monitors and analyzes traffic to prevent advertisers from paying for invalid clicks, impressions, views, or interactions, and stops publishers from generating invalid activity from receiving undeserved advertising income. Okay, so I suppose it is possible that with a team of over 100 PhDs, data scientists, engineers, and researchers, that they are erring on the side of caution. Okay, so if I'm popping onto someone else's phone, I guess, and clicking on that local plumber competitor's ad, that, I don't know, how? If it's a local number, it's almost indiscernible. I don't know. I don't see how, but I'm not a PhD or data scientist, so perhaps I'm wrong. Our automated detection systems use machine learning and complex algorithms to protect our partners and keep our ad platforms clean. Yeah, that's what you say. We manually review suspected cases of invalid activity that weren't stopped by our automated system. Well, it still has to get flagged to manually review it, does it not? Whenever we find unusual traffic, I'm not saying like a botnet here, people. I'm not saying like that there's a bunch of bots and they're trying to like click on ads and it's this systemic large scale issue that they're not catching this. I'm also not saying that if you wake up every morning and you click on 7 competitors' ads before you get your cup of coffee, that they're not going to catch that. I'm saying if you randomly go out, and click on competitors' ads from various terminals and people's phones, and then, I don't know how they catch it. Our team uses advanced research to uncover sources of non-human traffic, and develop solutions. So how can you prevent invalid activity? We work hard to protect you from invalid activity and advertising fraud, but there are things you can do to help. The first step is to learn how to monitor the performance of your ads and content. Next, you can take action to avoid creating invalid activity on your account and prevent people from taking advantage of you. Well, how precisely do we do that? Resources. Okay. What can you do to prevent invalid activity? Best practices to prevent invalid activity. While we have a strong system in place to detect invalid activity, it's equally important that all AdSense publishers regularly review their traffic and ad implementations. We advise all publishers to read Oh Good, our beginner's guide to AdSense policies, blah, blah, blah. Understand your traffic and cite visitors by breaking down your traffic reports into meaningful segments or channels. Be very careful when purchasing traffic and review the traffic provider checklist to help. Bored. So I would sum it up like this. Yes, Google has a ridiculous amount of interest in preventing click fraud. If it comes out that it's very easy to manipulate their system, it's going to shake the faith that people have in their advertising, which again was 70% of their overall revenue. That's a ridiculous amount of money. You're not going to get better than Google. They've got all the money, and they've got the best system. So work or don't work, they're the best we've got. Instagram says sites may need permission to embed photos. I don't know if we're going to get to a point globally where we just go, you know what? Photos, videos, I don't know. It's just never going to happen. I don't think we're going to open it up where, people don't have copyrights on the music they create or the photos they take. It's probably just going to go in the other direction where everyone says, no, you need to pay me. You can't just use that. You need to pay me. But there's all these accounts like Shutterstock where you can get photos that you ostensibly can use, and then they put these weird arbitrary restrictions on them in regards to how many you can use, how many users you can have, etc. And everyone's just trying to get this media, and then you have the huge swath of people that just use it. You know what I mean? It's like trying to prevent an avalanche using your pinky finger. It's so hard to stop people from just taking photos when all you have to do is right-click, save as, done. I'm trying to think of something that in the past would have been similar to this, where people try to control it, and then it just turns out that it's just everyone just takes it, and you can't. I would like to see a world where, you don't necessarily get a lawyer's letter from grabbing a photo, and I know that the photographers would come back and say, well, you're going to have a bunch of garbage photos because nobody wants to take photos, high quality photos, if they're not getting paid or compensated for it. I understand the argument. I just think about CDs, and I think about how, Napster and all of these major players back in the day were fighting against the tide of the stealing of music, and it was like the biggest deal ever, and how dare you. And now everyone just pays for Spotify and has access to 99% of the music they could ever possibly want. So is there a photo version of that? I think that, to me, would be interesting. A photo Spotify where, you pay $10 a month, but now you can download any of these photos. And every time a photo gets downloaded, there's got to be something like this, right? There's got to be a photo Spotify. So If anyone wants to start Photo Spotify with me, just throw it in the chat box. Yeah, because this is just impossible. It's impossible to stop people from downloading photos. It's just never going to happen. But here Instagram says sites may need permission to embed photos. Okay. Instagram issued a statement suggesting websites may need a creator's permission in order to embed their photographs. They're just covering their own butts. Site owners may need to get permission from Instagram users before embedding their posts on a web page, according to a company statement. Well, of course, they have to say that. Newsweek is currently being sued. So here you go. Get the lawyers out. They're getting sued for copyright infringement by a photographer whose Instagram post was embedded on their site without express permission. Well, it's Newsweek, right? If you're going to sue somebody, why wouldn't you sue, this big company? And I get it. As the photographer, you got to get paid. I understand it. The decisions made in this case could have long-lasting implications for site owners when it comes to using media uploaded to Instagram. Here's more about the lawsuit, how it compares to a similar case from earlier this year, and the impact it could have for websites in years to come. Newsweek sued for copyright infringement. Obviously, Joe Schmo's barbershop down the street, using a picture from Instagram, and Newsweek, these are very different things. And I think the two often get conflated, where people say, oh, well, Newsweek got sued. Yeah, Newsweek got sued because they've got money. I mean, at the end of the day, this photographer isn't going to hire a lawyer, probably, to sue, Jim Bob's tractor hut, with, annual revenues of $600,000, maybe, but Newsweek, yeah, I get it. So Newsweek reached out to a photographer for permission to use one of their photos after being turned down. The plot thickens. Newsweek instead embedded the photographer's Instagram post on their site. Now they're being sued for it. Okay, that's a little different. They know better. They're a media outlet. They reach out. They say, hey, can we use your photo? They say, no, you cannot. And then they're like, oh, we'll just embed it. That's different. Come on. That's different. The publication defends its actions, which are really indefensible, saying permission isn't required because the photo was embedded from Instagram rather than being uploaded directly. Oh, man, that's rich. I love that. Oh, I love that. That's too funny. They're just like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to loop Instagram into this mess just to kind of muddy the waters a little bit. Instagram says it's written in Instagram's, there it is, the terms of service. Gotta love me some terms of service. You know what? I think actually what I'm going to do is just focus entirely on reading terms of service from now on, because they are so joyful. The users provide a copyright license to Instagram every time they upload a photo. However, according to a statement provided to Ars Technica, that license is not extended to sites that display embedded Instagram media. Quote, while our terms allow us to grant a sublicense. Oh, this is intolerable. This is intolerable. A precedent sent back in April 2020. A precedent was set in a similar case back in April in which Mashable was being sued by a photographer for embedding an Instagram photo without permission. All right. Well, what are you going to do? What should site owners do? In order to stay on the safe side, the smartest thing site owners can do is ask for permission. Duh. A simple direct message would do just fine. If they say no, then leave it alone. Right? Sure. Okay. Got it. Shutterstock, I mean, the likelihood of you needing a website, or I'm sorry, a photo that is hyper specific that you would need it from Instagram is pretty low. And if you pay for Shutterstock and stuff like that, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So there you go. Shutterstock account solves most problems. So Facebook, again, billions and billions of dollars. There's no free lunch in this life. There's no free lunch. If you're a billionaire and you find yourself having to testify in front of Congress, yeah, okay, well, you're a billionaire, right? So this is the job. So how do you possibly deal with making everybody happy? You don't. You simply do not. So Facebook's going to review its policies around state use of force and voter suppression. Okay, you're going to need an entire... they're taking on the federal government. It's Facebook versus the current administration. How will this affect all of us? It's anyone's guess. Facebook publishes new updates. This I absolutely, or am I looking at the wrong one? This I adore right here. This Russia state-controlled media. Look, if AI can provide an angle to reality where we have just that much more information. For example, this news source came from Ukraine. This is a Ukraine-based piece of information. Okay. Does that matter? Does that not matter? This is Russian state-owned media that you're reading right now. This is, French for whatever, just wherever it happens to come from. Does that change the way people are going to perceive that particular message? Of course it does. It's additional information. What other information could Facebook begin to provide? I could see fake news stories or real news stories that are coming from, hey, this is a 97% fact-checked Facebook algorithm-checked source. So 97% of the time, our algorithm has determined that they're telling the truth, as understood by machine learning. And so everyone's going to be chasing that high. They're going to be chasing that. It's going to be SEO, but it's going to be SEO for the truth. So in the future, I think we're going to see a number of outlets that are just desperate to get like a 95% or higher fact rating. And then when they report on the news, or you could have like a bias rating. So machine learning could give you this particular source has an 80% bias towards conservatism or liberalism or insert your ism. So when you read something, you can read it with that in mind. I mean, we all operate under that currently. When we see something from MSNBC or Fox, we know that these are coming from institutions that lean in a political direction. But to have machine learning a part of that conversation, that opens up a whole new vertical. So if anyone wants any consulting on how to achieve the highest fact-check rated score for Facebook AI, that might be something I get into. So give me a ring. TikTok. Oh, TikTok. Again, doesn't matter for small businesses. Not really, but it might in the future, and it's worth keeping an eye on. Can you prevent invalid activity? All right, Google's got 100 PhDs globally that are trying to stop people from misclicking. They're probably doing a pretty good job at it. If you have any fear that your pay-per-click isn't going well, it's probably more a question of who's doing the pay-per-click management than it is a Google issue. Is there anything you can really do about it? No. And then Instagram, what's the plan with photos? Again, if you're Newsweek and you need a specific photo of a specific cop doing a specific thing in a specific city, fine. Then you reach out to the photographer and you figure it out. But if you're a business owner, you don't need that photo. So we've used Shutterstock in the past, and they pretty much solve all of our problems and get us the images we need. I will say this: if you've never been to cloud.google.com/vision, which I will show you right now, in the middle of this page that is about to load, you're going to see a gray box. You can add a photo to that box, and it will tell you things about that photo. So here we are in the middle of the page. Where is it? Get started, maybe. All right. So you got to love the live example. The only time that Google updates their Vision API page is the time that I loaded up on the live stream. All right, so they've updated this page. Last week there was a box in the middle of this page that you could add an image to. The point I am trying to make is that when you take photos and you put them onto your website, Google understands what it's looking at. For example, if you put a picture of a plane, it just doesn't say that's an airplane. It says that's a Cessna 152. And so you taking the photos for your business, taking copious amounts of them, putting them on your Google My Business profile, etc., this is the move. Do that. Can you believe it? We've been live for 29 minutes and 29 seconds. That's auspicious. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Marketing is Foreign Language, Monday, June 8th. Thank you for watching. Esther, I'm looking at you. Proud of you. Go get them. Go make some money. And we'll talk to you next time.